Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Well, former Vancouver Mayor Larry Campbell has been appointed the Downtown Eastside Czar or Advisor. There is a press conference with him at 1 o'clock. We'll bring that to you live on our streaming platforms. This hour, we're asking, can Larry Campbell help fix issues in the Downtown Eastside? And what do you want him to focus on? We'll talk to the Portland Hotel Society up first, and we're taking your calls. Plus, Stalo artist Joshua Conrad blends virtual reality with Indigenous art. He'll be my guest at 12:45. I'm Michelle Elliott. Welcome to BC Today. Thanks for joining us on CBC Radio 1, CBC Television, and live streaming as well. As I mentioned, coming up at 1 o'clock, Larry Campbell and BC's Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs, Christine Boyle, will hold a press conference, and we will bring that to you live. You can watch that coverage anywhere that CBC streams. So that's on our website, cbc.ca/BC, or on the CBC News app, on CBC Gem, and if you're joining us on YouTube. It will not be on CBC Radio or CBC Television, so if you're joining us there right now, you can watch it again on our visual streaming platforms. And do call us now on that question. Can Larry Campbell help solve issues in the Downtown East Side? What do you want him to focus on? Our numbers are 604-669-3733. You can also dial 1-800-825-5950 or just hit pound 690 on your phone. You can email us bctoday@cbc.ca or leave a comment on our TikTok Live. Now, the province has appointed Larry Campbell as a special advisor on the Downtown East Side. He's a former senator and mayor of Vancouver and former BC chief coroner as well. Campbell's known as an early proponent of harm reduction. Earlier this year, the appointment of a Downtown East Side czar, Michael Bryant, was criticized as not being transparent enough. Today, the province says Larry Campbell will coordinate with partners in the Downtown East Side with the aim of improving the quality of life for all people who live and work in the neighborhood. For more on this now, I'm joined by Michael Vonn, CEO of the PHS Community Services Society. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Michael, what do you make of the appointment of Larry Campbell in this role?
Well, I was a little surprised. I didn't realize that the role itself was going to be revived. I think that we need all kinds of assistance, so we welcome it. But it caught me off guard.
And is this the same role, from what you understand, that Michael Bryant had?
I'm not sure. What I think is happening here is some lessons being learned from last time round and various criticisms that were leveled at non-transparency. Certainly, there's been a press release going out and a press conference. So the idea of being more transparent about what the job is, I do think the job is a little bit, may have evolved. From the first time round, although I haven't seen the terms of reference. I'm taking that from the press release, which seems a little less focused on learnings and a little more focused on coordinating. So it sounds like an action-oriented set of tasks that are being prescribed.
Right. And so the role previously, the contract that you're referring to with Michael Bryant did face criticism for lack of transparency. That contract was ended. Can you tell me about your experience with Bryant in that role?
Well, I found him very receptive to hearing about the problems in the Downtown East Side, very keen to get right to the possibility of getting improvements in the system. So I was disappointed in the sense that I hope that work has resulted in some kind of report that Larry Campbell can build on, because lots of people were very candid about what they saw as the needed improvements, changes, and evolution.
And what were your frustrations in that process?
Well, it's interesting to be having this conversation just 2 minutes after the Potluck Cafe was talking about its challenges, the potential that it's closing the door. I don't think we really appreciate how much the nonprofit charitable sector is the glue that is providing services in this arena. And that sector is in crisis. And so understanding how we're going to take better care of those systems is, I think, inherent in what we have to focus on, not only in the Downtown Eastside. Obviously, the issues in relation to the Downtown Eastside are visiting, every inner city core of every small town, big town, everywhere in British Columbia. So I'm not sure the degree to which we're developing the potential for models that have the ability to scale, but we have a lot of things to look at because things changed quickly. The acuity, the severity of the health needs of the people that we are working with increased very, very rapidly over a short amount of time. The Downtown East Side of today is not the Downtown East Side of 10 years ago, and we really do need to do a catch-up in terms of systems, developments, and understanding who holds what pieces.
Okay, and that's an important point, the change. And the Downtown East Side today is not the same as it was 10 years ago. Here we have someone who has a connection historically with the Downtown East Side as a proponent of harm reduction. BC's chief coroner went on to become mayor in 2002. So how able is he going to be to face the current issues in the Downtown East Side?
Well, you couldn't take on a role like this and not be a fast learner. You would have to be, because as I say, there's been a steep increase in the acuity of almost every issue you can imagine. So I hope that his ears are open. I have no reason to think that they wouldn't be. But yeah, it's going to be a lot to onboard very, very quickly.
What would your advice be for Larry Campbell?
Oh, gosh. I guess to keep the main thing the main thing. There's a lot of details, there's a lot of complexity, but if we can hone in on 2 or 3 things that make a real difference to the lives of people, that would be better than having a 300-page report checklist of all kinds of details. There are a lot of stakeholders and a lot of views, but if we can keep the main thing, what gives us the biggest bang for our buck on improving the lives of the people that we serve, the people in the community? I think that's the advice that I would have.
What is that main thing for you, Michael?
Well, as I say, the glue of this sector is becoming unglued. We need to understand and resource for acuity. We are seeing health needs that have never existed before, and I know people are very tired with hearing how complex everything is. But it does mean that we need to have a triage focus of working for and with the most acute needs. That means when we are talking about people who instantly need healthcare and housing, that we prioritize that. Again, there's a myriad of issues there, but that triage focus of what's the most important thing needs to be held.
Michael Vonn, it's very good to speak with you. We'll look to see what is said at the press conference about 45 minutes from now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Michael Vonn is CEO of PHS Community Services Society. And we are taking your calls. Former BC Chief Coroner, Vancouver Mayor, and Senator Larry Campbell has been appointed to, quote, coordinate governments and leaders to improve the Downtown East Side. And we're taking your calls. Can Larry Campbell help fix the issues in that neighborhood? What do you think he needs to focus on? You can call us now. Our numbers are 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, or you can hit pound 690 on your phone. Email is bctoday@cbc.ca, and we are watching your comments on our TikTok Live. Joining me now is Frances Bula, longtime Vancouver reporter and now urban affairs journalist, mostly writing for the Globe and Mail. Hi, Frances. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Michelle.
Nice to see you.
Yes.
Blast from the past.
No kidding. I talked to Larry about 30 minutes ago, and it was just like, wow, old times here again.
Well, it's fun, right? For those of us who remember his time as chief coroner, the election, the civic election, it may make sense, right? You see the connection to the Downtown East Side, but what do you make of this role now? As we heard from Michael Vonn, things have changed.
They have, and Larry and I talked about that. It's so much worse and different. The type of drugs that are circulating, the fact that you have people who have been revived with Narcan multiple times, have brain injuries, the level of poverty is worse, the level of poor health is worse. you know, when Larry sort of swept into view in 2002, I mean, that was his big thing, was to sort of champion the first supervised injection site, which was seen as really revolutionary. He'd been the coroner for a while, and there was a famous TV show, Da Vinci's Inquest, that was kind of based on his career and personality. And you know, it's different. It's more severe, and we have many more people. And as I keep trying to tell people who are like, well, why can't it just be solved by doing this, you know, simple thing? The thing is that supportive housing, which is where, you know, sort of the most challenged people are going, it's such a mix of people from jail, people coming out of foster care, old poor people who have nothing wrong with them except they have no money, people who are severely mentally ill, people with drug issues, people with terrible behavior issues, and they're all being sort of dumped into these large buildings that the province has decided is the way to go. And it's really different from what it was in 2002, when there was like one supportive housing building in the Downtown Eastside being run by the Portland Hotel Society.
Right. And we now see the city of Vancouver saying, you know, no new supportive housing for now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few buildings. There's, I think, at least 6 buildings in progress or almost in completion. So it's not like there's no new rooms coming along in the next while. What's going to make the difference is in 2 or 3 years, if they haven't approved anything, then there will be a real slowdown.
Yeah, let's take a call here. Marla in Vernon, we are taking your calls on this new role that Larry Campbell is going to take on. It says he's going to work to coordinate with various governments and partners to improve the quality of life for people in the Downtown East Side. Taking your calls, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. Marla in Vernon, welcome. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that we're using this American lingo, like we're in Canada. We don't have downtown czars. We don't have border czars.
Okay.
Yeah, we just don't. I mean, you look at Herman in the U.S., I don't think Canadians want to be affiliated or associated with that kind of language. The guy is a thief, and he's hurting people. So I would like to know what Larry's real designation is, and I would like to see CBC and other people steering clear of that kind of language and that kind of association, because we're not in Russia and we're not in America.
Okay.
We are Canadians and we're fantastic. So I'd like to know what his real designation is. And I think that we do need help in the East Side. I think that he will have something to contribute considering his history. He's well-rounded. He has a lot going for him, lots of experience. He's multifaceted, and you know, I think it will be a really good thing for us.
Marla, thank you very much for the call. I take your point on the language, and that is a term that was sort of used in media coverage of Michael Bryant as well. To be fair, the press release from the province doesn't use that term, so we are looking to see what I wonder what his actual title will be.
Well, isn't it special advisor?
It's special advisor.
Yeah.
What is your understanding of what that role will be?
Well, the government clearly wants someone who's not just a collective of the embedded nonprofits in the Downtown East Side. They want someone who can sort of talk to everyone, summarize what's going on, and make some suggestions.
Right. And do you see this as a continuation of the Michael Bryant role, or?
I think he'll probably take some of what Michael Bryant, the information he collected. Although I have to say, Larry Campbell, for all his good qualities, I don't think he's a big reader. You know, he's very good at talking to people, listening to them, and not just listening to what they're saying, but the subtext of what they're trying to get at. And he's a very quick study, so I think he's going to be talking to people a lot. And having someone relay to him what maybe Michael Bryant learned, any information he gathered. But, you know, this job is really about identifying a way to make a complex piece of machinery work better and look at where the gaps are. You know, the homelessness and drug use has changed so much in the last 10 years. And these organizations and governments are scrambling to figure out, how do we respond to this? Because things that might have worked 30 years ago are not working now.
Yeah. Well, here's someone who can tell us. Anne Livingston is calling in to the show, co-founder of VANDU, the Vancouver Area Network of Drug Users. Anne, thanks for calling in.
Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Larry Campbell in this role as special advisor?
Well, the thing I'm hoping that people will do is to stop doing this endless list of what's wrong with people and then dreaming up new services where they hire people to make these people their clients and then fix them because they're broken. I think the best approach to take, and that's what VANDU did, was to just say, you know, what's right with people? What can they accomplish? And I think many people in the neighborhood and labeled in all these labels want to contribute to solving problems. And they're mostly blocked from doing that. And you can't do anything in the Downtown Eastside unless you reduce the number of police in the neighborhood. There needs to be a completely different role. The other thing is there are lots on Hastings Street where people camped overnight in tents to hold the government account. You've got to take this land. You've got to build social housing. Now the social housing is built, and no one knows how to get in it, especially the people that lived in tents on it trying to get in. So there's a real lack of information, of shared information, and nonprofit societies are extremely secretive and huge. We've seen the increase in that sector go beyond what you can imagine. So there needs to be a real clear sharing of information. How do you get into that building? Who do you have to know? Like, it gets to the point where you, like, if this sort of intense paranoia takes over, we fight for stuff. Then when it comes in, we can't get it. Like, honestly, I mean, that's the sense. So I think those are the barriers that we're seeing. And with someone in that role, ensuring that there's shared information. I'm just saying, in the olden days, in the 90s, we used to share information. The police came to meetings. They told us how many murders, how many rapes, how many car break-ins. I mean, they would never tell us that now. And the reason that was done was on a simple basis that if you were working down there, you'd hear about the same person being killed 5 different ways, and then you'd think 5 people died. So
what do you think's changed, Dan? What do you think's changed? What do you think's changed?
Oh, they got all corporate. They all got paranoid. They increased their size of their. Look out! It's got to be $100 million a year. These and some of them are run great, but I think they need to be busted up.
Okay.
And have that sense of autonomy. If someone lives in one of these over-controlled housing places, they should be a tenants group. There should be floor committees. Let people help out. Let people get involved and have some autonomy over their lives, and they will behave so much better.
I'm curious, are you, was VANDU part of the process under Michael Bryant? Were you consulted there? Do you expect to be consulted here as one of the partners in the Downtown Eastside?
I'm not currently volunteering at VANDU anymore, but I would certainly hope so. And it needs to be done in a way where you don't just pick off a few of your favorites. What you want to do is some big town hall meetings. We did town hall meetings in Vancouver. I don't know why they did it. A dog and pony show. There must have been 38 meetings under Donald McPherson. And they went to Kerrisdale. They went everywhere. And they let people scream at them, basically. But this exchange of ideas created a tremendous sort of peacefulness in the sense that something wasn't being pulled on people, that they had a chance to really examine and think about what were overdose prevention sites or safe injection sites.
And good to hear from you. Thank you so much for the call. Anne Livingston, co-founder of VANDU. What do you make listening to her saying we're not being listened to here?
I mean, yeah, there are a lot of concerns about, what is the real agenda of various levels of government in the Downtown Eastside. And, the city has come up with a plan. They've said they want to, make some changes in the Downtown Eastside and allow more development, commercial development, and so on. So I think there is a real fear down there that people just want to come in and, wipe out what's there, put something new in that they think will, be shinier and better. So I can see that there's a concern about not being listened to, for sure. But again, I think that, Larry Campbell in the past, he has a facility for talking to, a wide range of people, and I would imagine he's going to do the same thing.
Interesting, her point as well about nonprofits and how much they have grown.
Well, they have because the government wants them to, keeps giving them money and asking them to take on more and more difficult people all the time. It wasn't their idea, to grow like Topsy. And a lot of people are critical of nonprofits, and I don't get it because I don't think they'd be very happy if the government was running everything.
We have a lot of emails coming in. Yes, I will read your emails coming up in a moment here. Let me just take one more call before we go to our news update. And Roderick is on the line from Vernon. Hi, Roderick.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Go ahead. What are your thoughts on Larry Campbell?
Yeah, I think that Larry would be wise to think about the role of fetal alcohol spectrum disorder in recalcitrant mental health and substance use problems. The reason why I say that is because I'm a physician that's dealt with this area for about 20 years. There's huge common issues that are unrecognized, and once they're recognized, they can be managed. One issue is concussion, post-concussion problems, and the role of mood stabilizer medication for folks with that. It's huge. I've seen it all over the place in my patients, how that can be invaluable.
Can I ask you, I just have, I'm going to pause here. We're going to pause for a TV break for our TV audience. We'll be back with you in 2 minutes from now. But let me go back to you, Roderick, on that. You're practicing in Vernon. When you see what's happened, the issues, the long-standing issues in the Downtown Eastside, what are the echoes of that you see in Vernon?
Well, actually, some of the patients from the Downtown Eastside have been my patients because I'm one of only 2 physicians in the province that diagnoses FASD in adults, the other being a fellow based in Duncan. The major issues are recalcitrant mental health problems and undiagnosed sensory problems. And both those, once you manage people in an FASD aware manner, both of those issues can be much more successfully dealt with.
Okay, Roderick, good to hear from you in Vernon, and an interesting specialty that you have as well. That's Roderick in Vernon. Lots of emails, as I mentioned, coming in. Bob writes, yet another team organization committee on what to do about the Downtown East Side. Do we not already know what the core issues are in the area? Seems every time something new is proposed, we fall back on the oft-used statement. We are going to learn from our past mistakes and do better. And still the issues and challenges remain. How much time, resources, and money have gone into the Downtown East Side over the past decades, and yet things don't seem to improve. If anything, the area has gotten worse. Instead, we create another level of bureaucracy. And another email here from Phil, who writes, Mr. Campbell will find that the foundation of the problem is centered around housing. Accommodation will start the search for a personal solution. Thank you for your email. That's from John. It's 12:30, just about 12:30 now. You're with BC Today here on CBC, live on Radio 1, CBC Television, live streaming as well, and on TikTok Live. I'm Michelle Elliott. Thanks for joining us as we talk about this new appointment of Larry Campbell, who has been appointed to coordinate and convene partners in Vancouver's Downtown East Side, quote, with the aim of improving the quality of life for people who live and work in the neighborhood. Taking your calls, asking you, can he help solve these issues? And what do you want him to focus on? We'll go back to more of your calls and with journalist Frances Bula here in studio with me. That's coming up after the CBC News Update now with Amelia John.
Good afternoon. An evacuation order for industrial properties in Peachland has been reduced to an alert, with only one address remaining on evacuation order due to the Monroe Lake wildfire. The BC Wildfire Service is reporting little growth from yesterday and is prioritizing work along the east edge of the fire, according to Central Okanagan Emergency Operations. There are about 115 wildfires currently burning in BC. Only 6 are considered out of control. The Better Business Bureau is warning of a surge in fake job scams after a similar report from Richmond RCMP earlier this month. The BBB says the recent spike in fraudulent job posting appears to target the Chinese-speaking community, pressuring applicants to share personal details and pay upfront fees. The Bureau's risk report lists job scams as the second riskiest in Canada, with a median loss of $2,500. Cryptocurrency investment scams are the top risk. And some Fort St. John residents say they were woken up by an earthquake this morning. The 4.4 magnitude quake hit at about 6:30 a.m., 60 kilometers northwest of the city. There have been no reports of any damage. And now the BC forecast. On the north coast today, showers, some gusty winds with highs up to 12 degrees. Highs around 14, mainly cloudy with a few showers in the Peace. In the central interior, showers with a risk of thunderstorm, high of 11. Highs up to 23, chance of showers in the Kootenays. In the southern interior, chance of showers, high of 21. And for the south coast, some rainfall warnings for Howe Sound and Metro Vancouver, temperatures up to 16. And that is the CBC News from Vancouver.
Amelia, thank you very much.
Thanks, Michelle.
As Amelia John in the CBC Vancouver newsroom. This is BC Today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle Elliott, and we are talking about former BC Chief Coroner, former Vancouver Mayor, and former Senator Larry Campbell, who's been appointed as a special advisor to work with governments and leaders to improve the Downtown Eastside. And we're taking your calls. Can he help fix the issues in the Downtown Eastside? And what do you think he needs to focus on? Our numbers, once again, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, or you can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. Our email, bctoday@cbc.ca, and our TikTok Live is up, so do feel free to leave a comment there. Frances, before I go to Johanna, who's our next caller here, what do you think of perhaps public opinion when it comes to harm reduction and where Larry Campbell might be at on that issue?
Well, I need to talk to him a bit more about it. But, obviously harm reduction was heavily promoted and supported for many years. And then when decriminalization happened a couple of years ago, it wasn't accompanied by a lot of supports. And so basically what the public saw was everyone just doing drugs out on the street. And there was no visible sign of anything else happening. And public opinion in general has shifted rightward across the continent on all kinds of issues. And that did happen here. And, I have to say, I've talked to a lot of progressive people, regular voters, who have said, I'm trying to be sympathetic, but it really bugs me when I can't go to a library or a park with my kids without dealing with someone pooping in the park or sleeping at the table or doing drugs right in front of us. And there has been a loss of patience and frustration on the part of the public, for sure. And Larry Campbell is a person has always been a person who reads the public. And I'm sure that he is going to reflect some of that.
Let's take a call here from Johanna in Vancouver. Yeah, your thoughts on the job ahead of Larry Campbell, Johanna?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what that job entails, but just a little bit of background. So I grew up in Point Grey. I got addicted to heroin by the time I was 16, and I never stopped trying to get clean. Now, my family, they so the thing is that this addiction problem is not just a Downtown Eastside problem. And Larry, so we participated in a documentary called From Grief to Action. We've got our families and just hundreds of other people have put their time, their sweat, their love, their tears, their faith into trying to help stop the progression that this addiction issue has taken in Vancouver. And, I don't know what happened to Larry Campbell. All I can tell you is that it seems to me that our politicians are nothing more than they have bad memories. They can only think that their memories only go back to the last, what party was in power last. Like, the thing is, in Vancouver has had this horrible addiction issues because we are a port city. But the thing is the addiction drugs aren't the problem, okay? It's a systemic breakdown of stable housing and the family unit. And it is insane what is going on right now. Our government I don't know, where the hell is all the money going? With all these committees to make committees to do research, to make committees to do research, then rinse and repeat. I mean, what is happening here is sickening. And then you guys, I know, and the thing is that I was assaulted by an RCMP officer back in 2016, and I fled because nobody was going to believe me. I was scared shitless. They contacted me and asked for my help. This is 9.5 years later, and think of the millions and millions and millions of dollars. And this police officer pled guilty. Okay, so the biggest issue that I have with our government is the abuse of power, the blame game, and where's the money going? Because what's going on now is not working, and this whole stop random crime, it's in its title, random. The thing is that we have to start shining a light as a society directly onto the people that we elect to look out for our better interests.
Johanna.
And on every leg that is not happening, and it's not okay.
I'm so sorry that happened to you, Johanna. You touched on something that it's about housing. So if Larry Campbell needs to focus on one thing, would that be it?
Well, you guys have said that our government has made these promises. In fact, look at what they did at the Mount Pleasant site. They had all of those social housing by the Nat Bailey Stadium. They tore it down, displaced everybody, and said, we're going to rebuild. That still hasn't happened. They then sold it to a higher bidder. The thing is that our government is, and I hate to say this because I'm pretty sure that, I'm scared of retaliation but they're the biggest criminals. They are the ones that are breaking the most laws, stealing the most money, and they're doing it on the backs of hardworking people.
Johanna.
So I don't understand what's going on here. I seriously do not know what the heck is going on within our government on every level.
I hear your frustration, Johanna, and I'm sorry for what happened to you. I understand that you are on the road to recovery. I appreciate your call, and this is someone who dealt with Larry Campbell previously in a documentary about the Downtown Eastside. So, Johanna, thank you very much for your call, talking about, I'm going to take the point of, housing needs to be addressed there in terms of what her relaying her story. Judy on the line now in Maple Ridge. Hi, Judy. Hi, Judy, can you hear me? We may have lost our connection with Judy in Maple Ridge. If you'd like to call us back, Judy, it's 604-669-3733. Let's go back to Frances Bula here. And that was, there was a lot there that Johanna talked about, of course, in terms of her personal experience, her lived experience. But she says it's the breakdown of housing and the family unit and the role housing needs to play in the solutions.
Well, there's no doubt that our entire housing system has gone through a big transformation, and people who used to be able to find a cheap place to rent in this city, that's increasingly more difficult. But it's more than housing, because there are people who are being given housing, but their cognitive problems, their behavioral issues are so profound, they can't hang on to it. Like the most tolerant nonprofit in the province can't accommodate them anymore because they're setting fires and storing feces in their room and hoarding and all the rest of it. And so housing is definitely a component, but I think everyone agrees there has to be more than that for a very troubled group of people.
And part of that too, and I'm glad we have Judy back on the line now for Maple Ridge, because Judy, you worked at Riverview And of course, there's so much that discussion around what happened since Riverview closed and the lack of in-community supports there. Judy, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Hi. Yeah, I worked at Riverview, and it's funny because I worked in a boarding home that basically it was 20 bed, and basically it was for people that were downsizing from Riverview. And a lot of those folks had been in there a long time, right?
When you say
And
downsizing, I'm sorry, can you please elaborate? What does that mean, downsizing from Riverview?
When they were closing Riverview,
I
yeah.
got you. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so they were closing and downsizing, and they were obviously looking to put people into, house community wherever they could find.
Right.
Not a lot of places, but
Yeah.
yeah. And so it was like 20 people we got, I guess, from downsizing, and a lot of them had been in Riverview like a long time, and so they came in and had a safe place to live. It wasn't ideal with 20 people in a house, but most of them were comfortable and happy, and they lived in the community. They could come and go and that kind of stuff. And they closed it, the facility. And I remember reading an article in the paper. It says, like most people want to live independent. So they made it look like it was institutional rather than what it was, which was people that couldn't really function that well, so they needed supports. And a lot of them, it was their home, right? And they all literally cried because they had to leave. But they never supplied the housing. These people never got a place to live. In fact, I live in Maple Ridge, and I've been doing this for like 40 years, and I still meet clients that I had or patients I had in the community. Yeah, so these people only went to another facility. And then I worked in another facility in Maple Ridge, and it closed. And so same people are now in a different facility. So, I get it. And it's true. A lot of people ended up maybe institutionalized because, they didn't know where to go, or they didn't have a specific plan for people to live independently. But on a whole, they have to have that in place, unfortunately. And I feel like they're not listening, sort of to what, families want for their loved ones or for people in general. My dad was a Skid Row back then, like in the probably in the 50s and 60s, and he was on the Downtown Eastside, alcoholism, and he got picked up because at that time it was like sort of against the law to be walking around drunk kind of thing, so they put him in jail. And it's funny because when he was in jail, the Maple Ridge Treatment Center had opened, and they said, "Do you want to go to the treatment center?" He's like, "Sure," like warm bed and whatever have you. And he got the treatment that he needed when he needed it right away. And then he was able to come out and get a job and have a life. And I think that's, I've worked in the community as well. So I've worked all over in mental health, and so much of that is a problem with not getting the services when you need them. Having to turn someone away and say, okay, you want treatment, you're ready for it? Well, sorry, go home and call the detox over and over and over when they don't have the capacity to do that. I was lucky because I could help people, support them, but not always the case, right?
Yeah.
And then the drug dealers, of course, are on their, just like in the Downtown Eastside, the drug dealers are on their case. It's hard for them to say no because they're always there on them, right?
Yeah, it's the gap from the time when they need it, recognize they need it, and being able to access that treatment. Judy.
Oh, yeah. Unbelievable.
Really good to hear from you. Thank you so much for your call. That's a really important perspective too, the community services. Frances, we're going to watch to see what happens at 1 o'clock, what they do say.
Yeah. It'll be funny to have Larry Campbell on the scene again in his unfiltered way.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear more of your conversations with him as well. Yeah. Good to have you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Frances Bula, longtime Vancouver journalist, Vancouver urban affairs journalist, now mostly writing for the Globe and Mail. Thanks for joining us here on CBC, BC Today. Again, we'll carry that press conference live for you coming up at 1 o'clock. In other news now, this morning out of Ottawa, the Canadian government listed the Lawrence Bishnoy gang as a terrorist entity. The transnational criminal organization has been linked to extortion cases, and the designation means the government will have the power to seize property and give law enforcement tools to crack down on their activities. But former BC Public Safety Minister and Solicitor General Cash Heed says the move is part political theater. Here's what he said on the early edition.
It won't make any difference whatsoever. It's a political move when we need an operational response to this. Matter of fact, it actually raises a profile and instills fear in the South Asian community that are victims to any types of extortions or violence perpetrated against them. So it doesn't make any difference at the ground level. It's all political theater.
Does it not, though, give the federal government the power to freeze or seize property, to take the vehicles and money, along with giving, Canadian law enforcement other tools to prosecute the group as, committing terrorist offenses?
Well, that's if you believe that the Bishnoy gang is one of the main players behind this. They may have been at one particular time. From what my understanding and talking to victims of this crime, the money's transferred out of the country. It doesn't even remain in the country. There are limited assets on what they do. It'd be nice to hear from law enforcement whether, in fact, they do have assets related to the Bishnoy group here in Canada, because my intelligence tells me that there is not.
It's 12:46 now. You're with BC Today. Well, tomorrow is the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. The stat holiday comes after the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's reports and its calls to action to honor the survivors of residential schools, their families, and their communities. Now, tune in tomorrow at this time to CBC Radio 1 for Innu Music Hour, a celebration of Innu music and language. That's tomorrow at noon here on CBC Radio. Right now, I'm joined by an artist who works to celebrate Indigenous voices. Joshua Conrad is Stalo with Nlaka'pamux, and he's founder of Slow Studies Creative. Now, one of the things he does is fuse tradition with technology, like using virtual and augmented reality to bring Indigenous art to public spaces. It's really quite remarkable, and Joshua joins me now here in studio. Hello.
It's well, Michelle. How are you?
I am well. I saw you speak. Thank you for coming in. I saw you speak a couple of weeks ago at Pechakucha, and I was just amazed by the art installations that you have done. Can you explain a bit more about what it is that you do?
Yeah, so my goal is really to elevate the Indigenous stories of the land that are here in this community, but as well as in communities across Turtle Island. And through using immersive technology and new technologies, we're able to access that immersive story in which that, Indigenous knowledge is already immersive. And so why don't we accentuate that with tools that we have today? And by doing so, we're able to create and bring back memory in a visual way to show folks just like what the memory of this land has to offer and the stories of the land. So I believe that using immersive technologies to elevate the Indigenous story of this area is really important, and I think it's a really great way to communicate that we're modern people doing modern things and bringing our traditions and our values forward in our lives today.
Your Slow Studies Creative website said blending tradition with technology.
Absolutely, yeah. So I really believe that we can, again, we're not creating necessarily something new, but we are using technology as a form to continue to tell those stories and to be able to share those stories with others in other communities, and also to introduce folks that may believe or may only see the intercognized version of what they think Indigenous art is and what Indigenous people do. I want them to see that we are modern people, again, doing modern things, embracing technology, embracing all the new ways that we can create and tell story and share our knowledge. And I also want to share that to the larger audience so they can see that, we're still here and we're still present and we're leading in these different sectors.
Joshua, we're showing right now on our screen here the Le Magasin Art Alley and what you did there. For our radio audience, can you describe what we're looking at here? It's really amazing.
So we brought to life works from 3 different artists, Stalo artist Ovila Mailhot, Musqueam artist Diamond Point, as well as Tswelatuth artist Olivia George. There's 3 pieces that are in La Magazine Alley in Gastown, all of which have a QR code that can be activated and bring that alleyway to life with a story from each of those artists and a visual walkthrough interactive AR effect, AR standing for augmented reality.
Yeah.
That can be viewed through the phone.
And you just see the creatures essentially come to life on your phone.
Absolutely, yes.
What was the reaction like from people?
I think people were quite surprised just to see, again, it's a unique way to display those visual stories and to show just, how immersive Indigenous arts can be and how immersive that storytelling can be when actually put in place, again, on the land that, once held those stories. So bringing that memory back to life into an alleyway such as the magazine can really bring that concept of, immersiveness back into those old cobblestone roads.
Another installation, this was for the Vancouver Mural Festival. You worked with Deborah Sparrow to recreate her Musqueam runner illustration, and I think we have that as well if you want to show it. There it is right there. And again, can you describe what we're looking at here?
Yeah, so it was a real pleasure working with Deborah Sparrow along with the Vancouver Mural Festival crew to make this come to life. This was a long-standing dream that Deborah had that finally came into my lap, and we were able to collaborate and bring the runner to life across 7 different locations at 7 different landmark places that Deborah had pieces that she had made for her project Blanketing the City, where she illuminates different landmarks in Vancouver, such as BC Place Stadium, TELUS World of Science, and Canada Place. And the runner is to share that link between all of those places. And the runner, again, the messenger, bringing news to all of those different locations and weaving the city together using Deborah's colors and her landmark pieces.
Wow, what was that project like for you?
It was a really amazing experience. It was that was the first project that I worked on with Deborah, and it was just like a really wonderful. I felt like it was a very wonderful and symbiotic partnership, bringing that to life and being able to just see the surprise in her eyes when she saw her runner come to life and be animated, and then again be placed in the real world.
For yourself, when did you know you wanted to become an artist?
I've always wanted to know. I actually have like a little shoebox with a little writing from when I was in grade 3 or 4 saying, I will be an artist one day. Like, what is the job you want? So I've always had art in my blood, and I've always been practicing towards creating a career in the arts of some kind. And it took me a really long time to get to working in augmented reality. I started out originally as a screen printer. I went to college at Langara College, and I just did a 2-year program, and then everything from there I was self-taught and just learned how to do 3D and then eventually augmented reality, just working and connecting with other artists and just getting inspired and getting really excited about different projects, and finding my way back home to my Indigenous roots was really something that was, again, a collective effort. Some of my relatives were really working towards finding roots and finding belonging, and I joined in and became really interested in, how can I use the knowledge and the skills that I have to continue to also find that sense of belonging here in Vancouver. Out here, I'm urban Indigenous, and I wanted to connect with my community out here as well. And I found that, great success in finding folks that are also, interested in the arts, interested in technology, and trying to bridge those traditions and that knowledge into the new and modern ways that we can do that.
Right. And you grew up in Hope, right?
Yes, I grew up in Hope.
And so what were your early inspirations?
My mom actually was my first inspiration. My mom was a bead artist, and she was always giving away her beadworks and selling her beadworks at craft fairs. And she was living with a disability. She's also a residential school survivor. And so we didn't really get to play outside a lot and do like really physical things. So the things that we did get to do were quietly sitting at the table, beading and crafting. And so through that, she would tell me stories of our family and joke around. And I hope my family's watching right now because they all know my mom so well, and how much spirit she had, and just her passion for the arts and creativity, poetry, and that definitely rubbed off on me when she passed away. I wanted to carry that in my heart.
I hope your family's watching too. I'm sure they are. For yourself, what has that journey been like? You say you're going back to your roots and rediscovering them.
Yeah, just finding a pathway. I found that working commercially as an art director in marketing and advertising, it felt like I was putting all of this design work and artwork into sort of a vortex. It felt like it was just going into this universe and disappearing. And I really wanted to create something with meaning, and I really looked for that, and I continue to look for that through my adult life. Again, finding different organizations to work with, always centering around community, making sure that when I do produce work, I want to also be producing it for the community abroad. When I was a screen printer running a collective called Roy Was Here, out of the W2 project that Ernestindi spearheaded back in the day. It was an accelerator business startup back in 2009-10, and then just working again with the Downtown Eastside community, different organizations to help them promote their causes using my silk screening capabilities.
What are you looking forward to next?
The world is our oyster. Virtual reality, extended reality, all of these different new tools that we can use to continue to tell story and find new ways to, again, communicate, that we're still here and that we're thriving, and we are really excited to lead in these different industries. It's just something that I want to continue to do. I hope to find more partnerships as we move forward to work on creating more public placemaking projects throughout British Columbia and, again, the rest of Turtle Island, but also looking for partnerships to help fund different accelerator programs, such as the program I did back in 2023 called Spark Indigenous, where we were able to teach Indigenous creatives as well as artists how to use these tools to be able to tell their stories themselves with that software.
Yeah, it's really exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in and telling us your story and about your work. I was really fascinated when I saw it, as I mentioned, at Pechakucha. I'm so glad to be able to speak to you.
Akshat, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and it's really good to be here.
All the best to you.
Thank you.
Joshua Conrad is a multidisciplinary artist and founder of Slow Studies Creative. It is just about 12:58. Thanks for joining us here on BC Today, and do stay with us on our streaming platforms, CBC Gem, CBC BC, YouTube, and cbc.ca/BC. We will carry live the press conference with Larry Campbell taking on a special advisory role on the Downtown Eastside. If you're joining us on radio and television, please do switch to our streaming platforms for that live coverage. Again, I'm Michelle Elliott. Thanks for joining us on BC Today. You can listen to the show again if you want to hear our open line discussion. Just go to CBC's Listen app or YouTube, CBC British Columbia. But do stay with us or switch to our streaming platforms again, CBC Gem, CBC BC, YouTube, and cbc.ca/BC. Anywhere we stream visually, we will carry live the press conference with Larry Campbell.